Yes. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Nice to see everybody in person or online. I'm going to call this meeting of the Central Oregon Intergovernmental Council Board of Directors meeting for January 8th, 2026 to order. And let's do quick introductions. I'll start with myself. I'm Bradley Bennett, City Councilor and Chair.
John Nielsen, Rep. City Council Vice Chair.
Tammy Beatty, COIC Executive Director.
Tim DeBoot, Crook County, representing Ag and Forestry.
Yeah.
Steph Taylor, representing Jefferson County, and I am Susie Herbeck, Commissioner for Crook County. And here's Tony DeBone, who does a good job as Commissioner for Deschutes County. There we go. Here's the three happy ones.
Yes, exactly. We should separate it.
Matt Ertl, appointed by Deschutes County, representing unemployed and underemployed individuals.
David Beck, Councilor, City of Dover.
Marv Sumner, Prineville City Council.
Bob Johnson, Cascade Youth Transit.
Michelle Williams, Deputy Director, COIC.
Kimberly Manor, Executive Coordinator.
And then online, we'll start at least at our end in the upper left-hand corner with Christine.
Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Christine McConnell, Deschutes County seat for Outdoor Recreation and Tourism.
And then Mr. Piper.
Chris Piper, Deschutes County, representing business and industry. Happy New Year and happy belated birthday, Mr. DeBone.
Oh, thank you so much. There you go.
You're 21 today?
And then I'm not sure, Janice and Jennifer, who that is, if that's a board member.
Yep.
Is that, okay. Go ahead.
Janice Curtis, Counselor Lapine. And I don't know how to change the Jennifer, or I would get her off of there.
Then Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl Pellerin, City of Sisters City Council.
Hello. And Dana.
Good evening, Dana Dunlap, Adult Education and Training Program Manager.
And then John Highland. I'm assuming, John, you're here for some kind of public comment. Is that right?
That's correct. John Halen, Community Swiss Army Knife.
All right. So we'll come back to you in a couple minutes after we do the service story, John. Ryan.
Dana, will you be covering the service story this evening?
No, Ryan said he's in the waiting room waiting to be entered. I'm wondering if he's maybe on a wrong ID. I'm just having him double check.
No worries, we're good. We've got Dana. He went into Teams instead of the Zoom. Can you let him know, please? Okay. And I think she said yes. Hold on.
Yes, I've texted him. Thank you.
John, do you want to go ahead and do your public comment first, and then we'll come back to the service story?
Sure, that works. John Halen, I live in the city of Bend. I'm calling to also say thank you again for recording these meetings. It really helps to watch them later. Not everyone has time to attend in person. So again, I appreciate you guys recording it and posting it online. I will say that for my public comment, I would just reiterate that it would be nice to have someone that regularly rides CET on the board to help guide direction for CET. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Right, maybe we can we'll just when he shows up, we'll go. So let's move on to the consent agenda. And maybe we should take the two different minutes one at a time, just because we had some edits during November 6th. So did people have a chance to look at those? To me, they looked like they've been correctly as requested. So I know there were specific folks in terms of some of the votes, Tony and Tim. I saw that it had been changed at the vote. Anybody else have any other comments?
And move they be approved as presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
And the second. Any further discussion?
This is the minutes, not the consent, right?
This is just the minutes for November 6th.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Hi.
Any? Okay, great. And then the December 4th minutes are also in there. It took me a minute to figure out that they were there, but I got it. They're there. And, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the December meeting, minutes as presented.
Second,
I second.
great. Any discussion? Anybody knows anything that needs to be changed? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. All right. And then the department reports. Let's just do that as a separate motion.
I had a question. I don't know if it's appropriate before or after, but
Sure.
it was just on the resolution to the JBAR-J, since we had somebody from JBAR-J come here and provide public comment. There was a reference in the consent agenda and the minutes that there was a follow-up meetings that resulted in a resolution that was agreeable or acceptable to all parties. I can't remember exactly how it was. And so was there anything that you could or will or want to share with us? How that was reached?
Yeah, I think great question. Thank you. We were able to get to funding that allows them to continue their program within the, which is reasonable in terms of the amount of investment. And we are going to continue to work with them through this next year to help them work their program in a manner that allows them to stay within that so that we don't run into that type of a challenge again. So I would say in short, we're helping them to, we can't braid funds and fund braided funds. We need them to extract out what we are specifically funding for. That isn't the model that they've had. And so it's a manner in which they're currently operating that we're asking them to do differently. And so we're going to be working with them for technical assistance and et cetera. They will be able to continue to operate. They were awarded funding that was much more than they thought that they would end up getting. And so we're in a good space. The other two things that came up is they also wanted to be involved in the multi-agency committee, of which they are. So they are actively involved in that. And then the HLC, which is a separate entity, but we staff it, they are considering what engagement it would look like for them on their board. So those three things were the main pieces.
Thank you.
The week before Christmas, the entire juvenile department of Cook County and myself went on a tour. We went to Grandma's house, we went to the law, and we went to Canal House and Redden, and I was very impressed. Yeah, we did a very good job.
Yeah.
And most of the issues were around the law, right?
Yeah.
And part of it, so the bed cost, and they were doing some braiding of funding, which they should. But if they are in this space for this number of beds, we can only fund that space for that number of beds. I mean, it's sort of a dismantling of how they put it together. And there's no fault there. If you're running a nonprofit, you braid everything. But the way that the funding comes for the reporting and the accountability to the state, we have to have it separated. And that creates issues.
And the way you said about saran wrapping your heart,
Oh,
you better saran wrap your heart. when you
Yeah.
Go on those tours.
totally. Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you for taking the additional time to you and your staff
Oh,
to
the
work
team
with
is- yeah.
JBAR-J
Yeah.
on doing
Yeah.
that and work through the technical details. I think we're only in year 3 or 4 of the approach, and it seems like there's been significant changes each year. And so, thanks for finding the resolution with them.
Yeah, and thank you. I will share that with Katie and Michelle's hearing that as well. It takes a lot of hand holding and rightfully so. We want to get them to a place where they have confidence in what we're asking for, but they can comply so we don't lose the service.
Sure.
And so that's that's trust building. So sometimes it takes a little longer. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions or comments on the folks?
I got a couple, just two
Yeah.
quick items.
Yeah.
My wife and I were able to be able to see the gingerbread junction, so I didn't see this one specifically. I
Oh.
mean, it didn't jump out at me, but I looked at them all, so I must have
Okay.
seen it.
Dana will have to send Commissioner DeBonne a photo of your team's winning gingerbread
Yeah,
landscape,
Well,
and Murph the van was there.
it's in here.
Yeah, oh, the photo, good,
Yeah.
okay, good, all right.
And then for Central Oregon Ready Response and Resilient Center, our Core 3 project. Just an update, we are talking to private folks with performance car condominium partnership possibly. And I want people to hear about this because either we do it or we don't do it, because there's this, it's like people are dancing around all of a sudden and it's exciting in some different areas, but private ownership, car condominiums, access to a performance track that public safety can use. And we're gonna have those conversations here real soon. So I just want people to hear it and, yeah. If you wanna know more, ask me about it.
Okay, that means I have to ask.
Sure.
Since you opened the door, I'll briefly just mention that next week we have our first meeting, formal meeting for the ORS 190 discussion with the small group, the leadership team, most of the folks for Core 3 that will be primarily using the facility to start that discussion of what does a formal entity look like, what are their options, etc. And the goal is to hopefully get something across the finish line by the end of 26.
In
So
terms of it, them becoming that.
something, yes. Yep.
Yeah, because it's a, COIC is the umbrella over this effort, but it could be as a council government's very much like this. Kind of with the public safety hats on,
Yeah.
you know, maybe the police chiefs and fire chiefs would be there more than the city councilors and commissioners, but it's kind of that same thing. But it's tri-county, you know, the table is, welcoming for anybody, right? You know, it's a tricky deal right now. I don't know if everybody heard this, but we're trying to put money in the pot so we have money to invest, capital money, but not all jurisdictions have dollars right now. But we need everybody to at least pay attention to what's going on here, because we are a tri-county effort already. And the 3 counties and the cities in there, police chiefs, fire chiefs, sheriffs, you know, if we're all partnering on this, all of a sudden there's gonna be value because people come from far away, pay money, other agencies will pay money. So at some point, it'll kind of have its own revenue source. So even our local small jurisdictions won't have to be pulling out the checkbook as much, and we'll get some great training opportunities. It's all visionary at this point, but it could happen.
Okay, I think with that, let's, I don't think there was a motion yet.
I'll move approval of that consent agenda.
Do a second?
Second.
Sorry. Almost. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Ready to oppose? Okay, great. All right, we'll turn it over to you, Ryan. Good to see you there on Zoom.
Hello. I had some problem getting connected for a bit, but here I am. Good to see everybody. It's kind of fortuitous. I was going to start at a success story, and I just received an article fairly recently that I shared with Tammy, and Tammy asked to share this as well. And so I'm just going to put it in the chat for you guys for future, but anyway, it's from Investigate West, and they wrote an article featuring 3 of my clients, actually, Shane, Rudy, and Thomas, and title being "Budget Cuts Threaten Oregon Programs for Helping People Get Jobs After Prison." So it's a short read. It's a fun article it goes over things pretty well, and so I just wanted to share because it's just it's such an honor to, you know, it's an honor to do this work, and it's an honor to share success stories that involve my clients, and seeing them just going out in the community and doing amazing stuff. But anyway, I could go on and talk about all 3 of these successful, amazing people that I've worked with, but I'm going to talk to you guys about Shane. Shane is a gentleman that we've worked with through the reentry program. And so for those of you that aren't familiar, we work very closely with Oregon, the Department of Corrections, and we do in-person community-based case management in the prisons, as well as community-based case management, where we meet with people from other penitentiaries once released here locally, and vice versa for other areas. But anyway, Shane's journey towards employment, it began while we were working together with him as I was working as his prison-based case manager at Deer Ridge. And from the start, he was very clear about his goals. He wanted to work in construction, no office. So ideally, he was hoping for a welder position and then maybe eventually getting a CDL to open more opportunities down the road. He we started with with all adults in custody. When we're working with them, we provide mock interviews. We provide resume work to update their resumes, and we go in and update their iMatch skills profile once that's done as well, and just begin exploring job matches. And for Shane, it was in the Bend area, and that's my area. And really, from the moment I started working with him, he was very motivated and engaged, and just really involved in every step. Just open mind. So after his release, he connected with me and my coworker Jenny. But his sights were originally set on advanced precast production in Redmond, and it's they do casting for large municipal projects. His brother is one of the co-owners there, and so he did have a contact. And like many returning citizens, Shane, gosh, he faced a number of barriers. He had like he had the clothes he was wearing. He had his prison jeans on, with that was literally it with a hoodie, and that's what he was released with. And so he didn't have transportation. And then on top of that, he had issues with his driver's license. Come to find out, it's puts his CDL plans on hold for a while now. But maybe we'll get another success story later if he once we get to that to another point. But Shane, he kept a positive attitude, stayed focused, started shadowing his brother at Advanced Precast while he was waiting to get the necessary paperwork. We did have to help him with some of his ideas well, and so so that involved really a lot of help with this the Bend STEP team. And the STEP program. STEP program stands for SNAP Employment and Training Program. So they provide they provide resources to give folks a step up, like boots and shoes and shirts and hard hats and different things. And so we really kind of had to work with several community partners to gather, because Shane was very low on resource, and so but we were able to get what he needed to get started and got his IDs so he could fill out the paperwork. We also enrolled him under the WIOA AD program, and Jenny was able to purchase him a pair of boots, and everything else, all of his other clothing and such was provided by STEP, as well as gas card to help him with transportation assistance. And Changing Patterns and Thrive were also two supporters that I worked with to provide resource. So Frank at Changing Patterns was able to get me some clothing that I drove to his work site, and with Andrew, my other worker, Andrew Larkin with the employment department. And we did, oh gosh, I think Andrew and I did 3 deliveries on the site, but with these resources, it really eased that transition, which allowed him to show up ready for work and be equipped. And there is absolutely no way Shane would have been able to proceed moving forward had those resources not been part of that. And so on June 26th, my birthday, Shane officially started full-time at Advanced Precast, and he's been working full-time 40 hours a week since then. He started out earning $22 an hour. I think he's up to 28 now, and receiving full benefits. He's found housing, and we've been able to place him into job retention through STEP, and he continues to receive support here and there as he settles into his new role. But he's been doing great. I hope someday to be able to to work with him on that next step. Is he's again, the folks we work with, incredibly motivated and resourceful. I would say of the three people in this article, one of the, there's a lot of things they have in common aside from dealing with getting through a background. All three of the participants I worked with had no housing. For example, the three participants had nothing but the clothes on their back. And all three participants were very clear about how important and how meaningful the service we provided was for them, and just how it felt, just being in prison and having somebody just giving them a smile and words of encouragement and support, and getting to see job listings that they, in prison, they never imagined being able to do something like that. So anyway, that kind of concludes what I have to share. Any questions?
Ryan, this is Chris Piper.
Mhm.
Thank you for your story. Love hearing that.
Thanks.
And I'm just curious, what is what your caseload is? What's that look like, and how many
Oh my gosh.
individuals do you work with? And then with this one individual that you shared,
Mhm.
when do you completely transition off of that case? Are there certain indicators?
It's a good question. We are transitioning. We follow anytime we were working with someone with WIOA services, we will, even after their last service, we will continue to follow them for like up to a year after employment, and checking in on them and making sure things are going well. And if we need to gather up and start plan B, then that's what we do. So far, Shane has been very consistent. I haven't, things have been going well for him, but that being said, I would love to be part of him getting a CDL license at some point. That's a huge goal for him in the future. As far as the caseload, I'll tell you, we've been very busy. I mean, it just collectively, we've enrolled over, and Dana, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just under 1,200 people that we've enrolled into the Pathways Grant. And so our caseload is, it's it's a shared caseload, so it's a little bit different. It looks a little bit different. So our work is really it truly is a group effort by our community based case managers and our prison based case managers. So I mean, I would say just in, oh gosh, since July, I think we've seen around, again, Dana, I think around 80 or 90 people just in band. That 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 and that's it's 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 a good amount of in-person work as well as administrative. And there's a lot of tracking and a lot of follow-up involved, even if we're done working with someone, to just to support them.
Mhm. Great. Well, thanks again, Ryan. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Can I sprinkle it with?
Yeah.
So last fall, you might recall that Heather Ficht from EC Works came before the board and was asking for support. Josh Lavella was with her as well. WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, I believe that's the right acronym. Okay, good. Those dollars are always on the chopping block. And so one of the ways in which you all could be involved in us making sure that we keep this program would be that when we have those opportunities, of which you did take advantage of that opportunity to support them, this is the program that's directly related to. Different than the article, our program is not, it is not ending right now, but it could be in the future. Right now, because it's a priority population, it remains funded. But this is primarily funded through the federal, well, it's 100% federally funded, and would go away if those dollars were not appropriated federally. So just putting that as a bug in the ear. first tying it, that that's what you did already. And there could be other opportunities that we would bring to you saying, this program is WIOA and this is what it means.
So
Mhm.
beyond the personal impacts that they're having, do we have any information as to kind of the fiscal impact that this has of kind of returning this person kind of into the workforce, getting them fully reintegrated into society, reduction of recidivism rates? That, I mean, do we have a hard dollar figure or even a soft dollar figure that we can point to and say this program costs X but saves
Yeah, it's
X
great.
plus?
I would imagine, yes, that Ryan is,
Yeah.
big head nod. I don't have that top of mind.
Not
Go
today,
ahead.
but someday
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
Yep, and
Yeah.
yep. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, and I was also going to say that it's the recidivism, the rates have been consistently like pretty phenomenal, like less than 1% of recidivism with the folks that we are working with, which we were shocked to find that out. I mean, it's, I'm not here to explain how many, the barriers that and the work that it takes to work through some of those barriers, but the success is employment and sticking with employment and not returning to prison. So less than 1% is a huge win. It costs, $70,000 to house one AIC for a year in prison. We're saving a lot more money if they're working.
Brian, that's huge. I mean, your general average person getting out of prison, there's a 70 to 80% chance of recidivism.
It's very high. Mm-hmm.
Very, very high. So 1% is unbelievable. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the unemployment rate's 32% higher in the first 2 years after exiting prison.
Yeah, it's just, getting the word out and convincing employers that it's worth taking a chance. I mean, these guys are incredible workers and incredibly loyal and hardworking and dedicated, and it's a lot riding on their success for them personally, not just as a community, but from a personal level. I mean, they can go back to jail or prison in some cases. I mean, that's part of their plan is being employed. And so it's a big deal.
Well, and it's, I mean, for those folks who don't have a job, poverty, the biggest barriers to them. Not back in prison are one of the biggest causes of ending up back in prison. I was just on the street today in Bend with a couple of homeless camps, and that's where some of these people get kind of right.
I would agree. I mean, many of the people I work with start as homeless, and every single time it just breaks my heart when I hear their story. I mean, Rudy's lived for a year in his SUV. Once he was able to get an SUV, he was in a tent for the first few weeks. That's what he was provided for housing, and he's done so well now. He's living the van life. He bought a little old Sprinter van, and he's remodeled it, and he's living in his Sprinter van as he wanted. That was his choice. And he's, that's just one example, but I mean, I personally, I don't know if I'd have the strength and the fortitude to survive a night on the street of Bend, Oregon. I don't know how, but they're amazing.
Well, thanks so much for sharing the story with us tonight and for your work. It's really important service to the community and those individuals who are coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to
Yes. Okay, drum roll, please. So for those that have been part of this in the past, it's a little awkward, but we have board elections this evening. We have nominations that we were soliciting prior to the meeting. And so we have Mike Riley as our chair has been nominated as chair again and a couple of times. And then John Nielsen as our vice chair was nominated as chair and vice chair. And so we've all chatted. Mike is willing to serve as chair. John is willing to serve as vice chair. But we also take them separately. And in the process of doing that, we need to do this in public. We don't use a, silent ballot or anything. So I will be asking if there are any other nominations from the floor. The awkward hop is I'm going to do that 3 times. No, I haven't lost my mind, but we will do that 3 times. It's gonna feel a little awkward. But I do encourage anyone, if you're interested or you didn't think about it or you wanted to submit a name, please go ahead and do it at that time. So we would start with board chair, then we will go to board vice chair. And then you have the opportunity to either select yourself, if you want to nominate yourself or someone else, for secretary or treasurer. Typically, those positions are delegated at the secretary for the record keeping and etc. is usually delegated to the executive coordinator. But if this is your year and you're calling, then please raise your hand. And if not, then the next will be treasurer. If you feel that you too would like to be a mini Michelle and you would like to handle the fiscal side of things as well, this is your opportunity to raise your hand to be acknowledged for that. If not, that gets delegated to Michelle as our finance manager.
Good sales.
So, and with that, if you act within the next 5 minutes, you get a set of knives.
Are they again?
They are again knives.
They got
Very nice.
Yes. $29.99, yes. Yeah, my favorite was the 12 CDs for a penny. I don't know if anybody remembers.
One in the house still hasn't worn out to my arrest, I'm sure.
No, you didn't come up with your penny?
Yeah, so without further ado, the other piece that I would share is the way that our bylaws are written. The members that can serve in a leadership capacity are our elected officials. And so, yes, please, as our appointed members, do go ahead and vote. It just is a place in our bylaws where that just is a spot where it's a little bit different. And then depending on how that works out, which I suspect it's going to look fairly similar to what we have, then the 3 commissioners are always on the executive committee, regardless of whether they are in a leadership position or not. And then the other 2 members would be the other 5, making up 5 members of our executive, the chair and vice chair. So without further ado, shall we go ahead and chair? So we have a nomination for Mike Riley as your chair. Would anyone else like to nominate someone, or would you yourself like to serve as chair?
I would nominate Commissioner Taylor, and I guess,
Okay.
I don't know if we,
That's
I
exactly.
wasn't
what we're
looking for
supposed to do.
conflict,
No,
so I was, I
that's
wanted to
exactly
do
what we're
that.
supposed to do. Yep.
So as I say, and my vision is, yeah, I just want to leave it at that.
Nope, that's great.
Commissioner
That's
Taylor.
why this is what public discussion
Yeah.
and such looks like. So, so the nomination so far would be that we have Mike Riley and we have Commissioner Taylor. Not having had a chance to call you in advance, are you willing to serve?
Yeah, I mean, unless somebody has burning desire and passion, I would step into the role as chair as well.
Okay, very good. So with that, do we have any other nominations from the floor? And I'm also calling on those that are joining us virtually. So and gold started to Counselor Curtis, who figured out how to change the name on her
Oh, no, maybe.
on your screen.
Oh, poor Jennifer, she got down.
Yes. And Counselor Pellerin, are you off mute to provide a comment?
Yes, I have no additional nominations for chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other nominations for chair? Any other nominations for chair? Okay, so the nominations are closed. And so go ahead.
Yes, I don't know how, if you want to talk about it or not, I mean, as I say, I was the chair the year before and just kind of rotating things around, making sure everything isn't based in Deschutes County. So I mean, that's kind of what my thought process.
It's very sweet of you, Tucker. I am touched. We are
Leadership opportunity.
Yeah, okay,
very touched by that, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just that.
Okay, so
Bring it sweet.
what we would do is we need to vote, and so we start with and we're going to need to count, or actually use our sheet, and so I would welcome a motion for, and we will do both. So I welcome a motion for Mike Riley for chair, and then, which seems like and then next we would do, and then if that next would be a motion for Commissioner Taylor, and we will see which has the most, yep, exactly. So, I, would you, or if someone wants to nominate.
Either the first
yeah.
one gets,
Yeah.
majority or they don't,
So do you want to throw out yours? I
I
mean,
don't
we
have
can start
another
either way.
process.
Okay,
So I make a motion to nominate
Yeah.
Mike Riley as chair for the upcoming 2026 year.
we do that first, and then we will do,
So I have a point
Commissioner.
order.
yes, please.
So both of them are already nominated.
Yes.
So to make another motion to nominate him again.
Yeah.
Seems
Okay.
redundant. So my suggestion was we just go around if it has to be an oral vote,
Yes.
we just go around the room and on Zoom, call out the name and like I will say Bob
Excellent.
and Seth will
Now we
say
have Bob.
Bob.
Right.
Now we
There's always a Bob.
Now Bob's nervous, he was like, oh,
Oh, it looks like.
that works well, thank you. Do we agree with that?
Kimberly, keep the count.
On the vote.
That works just fine.
I've got a couple questions for anybody new or maybe short.
Please, yes.
It sounds like the terms are 1 year each, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then, who held well, we know Tony had the chair position prior to, Mike, who was in the vice chair position prior to John?
It was me.
Mike was,
Yeah.
yes, yep.
Okay,
I think there's a 2-year term limit. There's
3 years.
3 year.
Yep.
for the officers.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
and does the term limit cover the unique position or serving as an officer in general? I guess the question is more specific if I now know that Mike was vice chair and now chair, would this be his third and final year he could serve in a consecutive capacity as an officer?
I believe it is, yeah, I believe it is the specific position, but we might need to pull up the,
So
It says in the same. Three.
in the same month, okay,
consecutive
very good.
Same.
Okay, thank you, I didn't have that printed on my brain, but there.
So just about 4 years ago, the commission, since the 70s, it was the 3 commissioners would rotate or arm wrestle or whatever they did, and it's just the way it was, and everybody's at the table. And then it's to say a couple of years ago, it started to be counselors stepping in and getting involved with chair and vice chair.
We had a bylaw.
Not, yeah, so, I mean, it's just, that's what happened, that was Anthony Brodman and, so there's the history there, and I wasn't on the board at the time, so.
Thank you for that
Couple years
history,
ago.
yeah.
So just to clarify, all 3 county commissioners, you are all staying on as the county representatives for your counties, correct?
Correct. And
I
that
was
is the
going to,
amendment.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the railroad was alive and brain.
Okay, very good.
I don't know that for sure, but I plan on offering.
Okay, so point of order, can he nominate somebody if he's
Yeah,
not?
railroad really.
Not the name.
Yes, because our
Okay,
practice.
okay,
yeah.
I just wanna make sure that
Yeah.
we're.
I appreciate that you realized the railroad was going down the track. Thank you.
I heard the horn.
I did too.
So let's go ahead with what's been proposed. I haven't heard anything other. Were we able to answer the questions that you have? Okay, very good. Any other questions for process that I can answer before we get started? Okay, so, yep, let's start with you, okay? And Kimberly's taking,
Riley?
So.
You guys have to vote for myself.
Yeah.
This is a hard one for me.
I know.
This is really bad, because I kind of like a chairperson to be in a chair 2 years. I think that's a really good set. But I do really like you too. So, can I just abstain? Cause I would vote for both of them. Can I do half? No, I can't.
I don't know that it meets the abstention criteria, but I'm not a legal counsel and I don't.
This is a bad one for me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Question, Mike, do you have a strong desire and passion to retain being chair? Do you have?
Not, I mean, I really was thinking more about continuity. I think, I think probably my strongest interest as a city councilor and is, for COIC is about transit. Transit continues to evolve. I don't know that I need to chair to work that issue. So, yeah. But, and, you've been on the executive committee the last year too, so it's not like there's something been going on, we haven't told you about.
Yeah.
Well, there it does.
Oh, dang it.
Okay, I think, no offense, I'm gonna vote Riley, because I do like the 2 years.
Commissioner Taylor.
Yeah, it's tough as an appointed individual here. I would vote for both, no question about it. I love the concept of diversity. The fact that you're on an executive committee, to me, I think is very important, and having that diversity on the executive committee is important. I also believe in change and fast change for organizations, private and public ones. But right now, I'm gonna vote Riley for some continuity this year. It's a really tough thing. Great imagery.
It is a shock.
You're not hurting my family.
Well, I hope not, because you're gonna be nominated next year, so.
Correct, nomination. We'll see, yeah.
Okay.
No, might be.
I joined this continuity idea. I think it's good to get groove a little bit before you move big change. I have to admit, Seth, I really enjoyed being around and listening to you because you bring a lot to this table, and the continuity thing gets in my way, and I'm gonna have to vote for Mike.
Shall we, I'll go ahead, you want me to drive? You bet. So, Christine?
I would say Riley for the sake of continuity as well. Thank you.
Yep. Chris?
Yeah, I'm voting for Riley and Seth. I'm grateful for your service and continued service as commissioner and on the executive team of the board. And I think you add a lot as a board member, and would like to see you continue to do so. And there's that next year. So thank you.
Counselor Pellerin?
Well, up until about 2 seconds ago, I had my mind made up, but let's go ahead and let's go ahead with Counselor Riley. I think you're doing a good job. I think one more year, it's going to go by really fast. And if we still have Commissioner Taylor on board to pick it up from there, I'd certainly vote for Commissioner Taylor next. But for now, I'll stay with Counselor Riley.
And Counselor Curtis?
Counselor Riley.
Okay, very good. Okay, so how did we do?
9 for Counselor Riley.
Okay, very good. Okay, so your chair is
Congratulations.
Counselor Riley. What I really want to call out is the respect, and this is awkward. And so just thank you all for being in that space. So next we have
Hey,
Vice.
not spend any money on this.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean,
Just get ready for next year.
didn't have to put an ad on the side of the bus or anything. Okay, so next we have vice chair. Do you want me to continue?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So next we have vice chair, and we have a nomination for Counselor Nielsen. Do we have any other nominations from the floor? And sometimes this is where if you really felt like you wanted to be in a space, okay, very good. So just, okay. Okay, so there's one call. Okay, so any nominations for vice chair from the floor? Or from virtual? Any nominations for vice chair? And last call for any additional nominations for vice chair?
I move nominations close and we cast a unanimous ballot for John.
Okay, that I'll let you.
Second on that? Second.
I'll second it.
Okay. And do you wanna? come
Yeah,
off of that?
so, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, so your leadership has been selected. Next, you have the treasurer and secretary. We could take those as a block. Would you like to continue with the past practice? Yes.
So moved.
Okay, very good.
Second.
Okay,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great.
okay. You are done. I'll hand it back to you.
All right, thanks, everybody. I appreciate that. Chair for the next year. So we're gonna go do the website policy and then the advertising policy. You wanna do 2 policies first, right? And then their implementation. And just so everybody knows, you're gonna have to leave at 6:30, so I'll just leave when wherever we're at. So.
I won't take it personally.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, I have three things tonight. Our next slide is the webpage privacy policy. I'm going to go back to back on the policies so we can get those taken care of before I give you an update on where we are with re-implementing fares for CET services. Next slide. So I'm going to talk fast, but then I'm also going to pause, and so feel free to ask as many questions as you want because I have been way in the weeds on some of this stuff. So just broad overview, Oregon's Consumer Privacy Act, OCPA, requires businesses to have clear privacy notices detailing data collection. So whatever website you go to, you'll always see a privacy page. They all look about the same. There's a couple sections that may look different. There is an exception though for local, state, and government entities. However, no local, state, and government entities except the that I could find accept the variance, because, you know, and I just put a few here. Jefferson County has them as well. I mean, as I was going around, everybody has the same exact privacy policy with maybe a minor thing here or there. The impetus for us right now is we're updating our website again, but we also have a new, and we'll talk about that in the fairs, we have another third-party contractor, third-party vendor, however you want to call it, coming on board. And it's really clear on what we require for their pages, their apps, all of their privacy policies. You know, we're really detailed on what the contract requires, what the law requires. Well, what happens now is if we don't have a privacy policy on our webpage, we're going to get tons of inquiries about what data are we collecting, what data is theirs. And so we want to clarify that at a minimum. But once we're clarifying that, we might as well just go with an official policy that can that, you know, can protect us. The laws are going to continue to change around it. Why shouldn't we have one if everybody else has one? It looks bad. It does have helpful information. And so that's really the impetus there. Now, the last part of this is COIC and our attorney acknowledges we need a privacy policy as a whole that would cover everything from information we collect, what we do with our own information from, you know, social security numbers, all that stuff. And so that, you know, hopefully will be coming within the next year. This is just a separate piece that we need to expedite now just to make it a lot easier on how CET operates, what questions we get through, and how we can ensure that our third-party contractors are meeting their requirements, and that we have some clarity for our customers when they're asking questions around what the difference is. Next slide, please. So what I did is, and if you looked at the policy, you'll think it looks just like the city of Bend, Deschutes County, with the exception of our third-party language is a little different, but we all collect the same information on this first part. And so I'm not going over the whole policy, but I'll answer any questions. I just wanted to highlight the key points. The first one is what these 5 bullets is the same 5 bullets everybody has on their website policy, whether you know it or not. You click on a website, it's automatically collecting this information. There are ways around it, but then you can't collect any data at all around usership or visits, different visits and things like that if you don't collect these type of things. The one that always confuses people is the website you visited prior to coming to this website. If you're at, you know, ESPN watching a game and you type in CET, it's not tracking that you were at the ESPN. If you were in Google, a search engine or things like that, it populates where you visited from so people know how to advertise and where to connect those views to. So just want to clarify that one. But again, that language is on everyone's policy. So if any of you disagree with it, you're gonna have to go back to your own boards and no, just kidding. But so that's there. Ours is a little bit different from the city and Deschutes County, for example, because, you know, the city collects different information because you can pay through, you know, services for taxes and other things like that. So every entity is a little different on information collected different. So on ours, we have a complete procedure where you enter name, phone number, email. There's different variances. So of course, we acknowledge that in our policy. If you type in your stuff, this is what we collect. This is how long it's stored for, etc. And then we have this clarifier that is the point now is that third party language, just so everybody understands that if you're visiting our, you know,
our transit app. That has nothing to do with CET. An entity is running it, they're paying me separate from the side. Yeah, we have some governance over it, but how they do their business, what they do with information is included in their privacy policy. So our policy has that language. So I'm gonna pause there. I'm happy to answer any questions on it. But at the same time, I think it's more of a formality. I was just gonna post it since it's not required by law. But I thought it would be better just to get it formal and make sure we're all on board.
So is this why when I talk to my wife about buying a vacuum cleaner, suddenly all the ads on my computer talk about vacuum cleaner?
Yes, that's a
Is
complicated.
that prior visit website?
No, I mean, if you look at and I mean, it is a good question, even though it's funny, but you're right, they're listening. We're gonna get, I'll get some different things on mine today, but on business websites, it will tell you, they'll have a section on how they sell your address to other people and how they use it. Most every one of them does it to some level. That's not what we do. Yeah, and so in the policy itself, there's a sentence that specifically says we do not provide IP addresses to anyone else.
Tell us you didn't get her a vacuum for Christmas.
She asked for it. Now, when I got married, I bought her a skillet, a Barberware grill, and she looked at me and I go, but my mom and dad got one, it's really cool. And so I haven't bought an appliance in 41 years, but she.
That's okay. One time I got a manure spreader. I'm very excited.
Very excited.
Was that the only present
I
you
got
got?
like a skillet.
It's a big present. It's like put the glue in and spread it. I was excited.
Yeah.
Right? It just depends, your attitude. But anyway, we're.
Yeah, we're
your
good.
time.
You're not gonna get out of here.
Well, I am.
Well, yeah.
I make a motion to approve the CET website privacy policy as presented.
Also.
Our motion.
Can I just propose one little edit, and that is in the purpose sentence. I thought it was a little confusing. I think it should say the purpose of this policy is to outline for users what information we collect and use. And it currently says it's policies to outline users to what information. So it's very nitpicky, but it just clears that.
And I will accept the amendment in my motion.
You got that converted.
You better put it again.
So it should say the purpose of this policy is to outline for users what information we collect, dot, dot, dot. So we're adding the word for and getting rid of the word to.
So Susan, you amended and agreed to
I
it.
agree, I said I agree, I make a motion to agree to the amendment to the motion. You
Second that. Second. So any further discussion on the policy with the one minor amendment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Great.
So on to the next policy, which is a CET advertising and sponsorship policy. So CET currently has a 2018 policy called the sponsorship policy, even though it means advertising. That's one of the reasons, among a lot of others, why it's just impossible to track changes and edit it. It just doesn't meet our needs. It was basically looks like it's copied from the old TriMet policy where they even assign a private, entity to review advertisement, which is not what we want. And so, and most of you probably aware with your public service, right around 2021, it was a big topic. The school district had a couple interesting things coming. There were a lot of these policies that didn't have anything about political campaigns and things like that. So a lot of them were getting updated already, and we used a couple of those just to help guide us as well. The purpose of ours is we wanted to have enough teeth that we can cover everything, but we also want it to be fluid enough that we can adhere to it. And so as it relates to, legal guidelines on it, the legal review is going to be in some of the small print in the contract we have for advertisers to capture the loose policy language that we put in a couple areas, if that makes sense. And I'll clarify that when we get to that. the specific items. The other difference in ours is we're redefining what advertising is for us mainly, and I'm not saying just that, because as we have more hubs, it could grow. It basically says anything with CET ownership. But it's the sides of buses right now. That's really what or the sides in the back of buses. And then we've added this clarifier about the sponsorship program for us means, you know, it's everything from, hey, I want to donate $100 for someone to ride. How do we collect it? How do we give that to an entity to use for their riders or something like that? To St. Charles is interested in sponsoring a free day for everyone, or, you know, or something like that, type of thing. And so, I'll get into a little bit of the specifics on that. Again, I clipped some major, sections here just so people could have them. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We've given ourselves a, you know, a gray area thing, if you will, about CET's mission and value, so that we can, if there's not one we're thinking of and it doesn't meet the absolutes of the bullets, we still have the ability to not allow it. We have cleared up the definitions. These closely match what Ben Lapine School District's updated policies are and some other ones who have recent updates. And the main ones are, most of them look relatively simple. The ones that were never there before was the contain political messaging, candidacy promotion, ballot measures, alcohol, tobacco, drugs, gambling, and firearms was another one that everybody's been adding as well. So and gambling, and so we kept those. So these are the blanket global ones. But again, the first statement, and then there's another one in the policy that really allows us at our discretion to make choices. And I think someone captured it in the executive session is, as long as you have a policy and are adhering to it, right, you can do whatever you want. The people who were getting in trouble had no policy and they were accepting one and not accepting the other. And so that's really why we want to clearly have one. Now, are we right now, or it's the library, it's Mount Bachelor, it's radio stations, right? We're really not on the precipice of anything that could be considered, you know, meeting some of these, but who knows as we start advertising it more, because we certainly want to promote advertising on the bus.
So my only question is I don't want to micromanage, you know, I don't want to approve as a board every single sponsor that comes in, but could I just have an ask of if there's anything that is not falling into the normal sponsors that you maybe can approach the board with an organization or individual, because there's so much that's polarized in our nation right now. There's so many different venues and so many different slogans and catchphrases that you never know what's going to be asked. And so if there's anything that comes out where you're kind of like, I don't know really what this is, or maybe, I mean, I would just have an ask that you maybe come and just seek our opinion.
Yeah, so my expectation on it is certainly when we get the common ones is that we're just, hey, the library, no one's gonna complain about that. If I got one that was kind of loose, I'm certainly we have time enough to pause and just get some feelers out there too. We've also included, and it's on, or you can go to the next slide, Kimberly, anything.
And I know it's included in here already.
Yeah, we also have and I mean, this is the legal one. So this is the policy that says that we certainly need some specific legal language to give us onus on how they're paid back, you know, all that type of stuff. But if we did get one out there, which I don't want, you know, the example would be like, I was at the school and accepting Nosler ads for the basketball program, right? I thought they were fine. The dad was, or the vice president was the father of one of my players, right? He wanted to donate money for a scoreboard. I'm not going to say no, but certainly now that one is denied under the Ben Lapine school thing. So those are, you know, I'm familiar with this awkwardness of what to bring forward and what
And
not.
Culver would love a new scoreboard. Provided.
So can we go back a slide? Because the language talk about promoting the use of drugs, alcohol, tobacco. So what is the smell test? Because I think like if Walmart came in and said, hey, we want to advertise on the buses, we'd say, okay, Walmart sells tobacco, they sell alcohol, they sell firearms.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, is it promoting or deals in? Because there's a smell test, because Nosler makes bullets, they don't promote firearms.
Yeah, I
It's
would,
not
I
the
would,
same, you know.
in my personal opinion, is if you're actively having a sign that says, you know, that has an AR-15 on it saying, hey, buy this
And
or
that makes
this
sense to me,
company,
but-
but Walmart, you
But
know.
would we say yes to Walmart and no to Dick's Sporting Goods?
It,
And
That's
that's
where-
my question,
yeah.
where is?
and I
this
mean,
going?
that's the, you know, certainly. Those may come forward, the way we write it and why we use promotes, if Dick's Sporting Goods just has a big ad, Dick's Sporting Goods. My recommendation would be approve it. If it's Dick's Sporting Goods and they're like, hey, we're putting 10 guns in the back picture or something like that, then we'd probably be like, no, then that's not.
Yeah.
That doesn't meet our test.
Yeah.
But again,
And I guess my whole point to that was, like I said, I don't want to have to micromanage, you know, everything gets brought to the board, but, if there's things that just seem questionable, just don't hesitate to bring it.
Yeah,
Bring it forward.
and it's written in there, you know, I'm gonna be certainly cautious, and the way we wrote it is, I have final approval, it's gonna be me and Tammy, but we just don't want this long process about, oh, I gotta approve it, then she's gotta approve it, then it goes to the board, but the other thing on this, it takes a very long time, someone comes to us, wants something, we have 80 total buses, 45 different designs, different layouts. They want to look at 20 different buses. What would a picture look like? 3 months later, we would sign the agreement. We have plenty of time to filter these out. It's not like someone comes to us on a Tuesday and I want the poster on Wednesday. Like we're still dealing with a suicide prevention ad, trying to get it just right from 4 months ago.
So not to be the contrarian, but I will be, just for discussion. So is the intent not to offend? So if anybody is offended by something, then that's an ad that's not acceptable.
I mean, that may be what society wants on some things. That's not practical for everything is gonna offend someone, right? That's why we.
But in
put
those
this.
6 bullets, you pretty much offended or eliminated
Yep.
I mean, the whole idea of the examples of Walmart or
Yeah.
Dick's is and Nosler. I mean, that's a classic example, and I don't live in Bend, and I thought that was the most ridiculous thing, but that's personal. But again, if the intent is not to offend, then you're gonna offend somebody, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna offend someone, you guys are as the board approving. There you go. You know, we want the money, we want the discussion point, right, that, you know, $5 or $500 for the back of the bus, 1,000 for each side for a month. When you have 50 buses, now we're not gonna advertise on all of them, because the money adds up in a hurry, you'd be surprised, and I was surprised about the value that an advertiser sees on a bus when it's 14 hours a day moving anywhere. I mean, I guess if you go to Vegas and stuff, you see the value of placards on buses, but there's actually quite a bit of value for us.
If I can, I'm just gonna interject real quick on a different subject you all haven't come to, just to ask you all to consider it a little bit. When I'm talking about the sponsorship section, I felt like the first 2 sections were sort of contradictory to each other. One says this is how we use the money, but then the other section says this is how we use the money, which is in the first one, sort of, or the second one includes other stuff. So I just wanted you all to consider, like, on the sponsorship sections, section 1 and section 2, yes, page 36 in my PDF. stuff.
And it has 34 on the bottom of it.
Yeah, and so and section 2 has A, B, and C, so it just was a little confusing to me. Why do we say one purpose, but then we start articulating another? So maybe there's a way to kind of mush those together into one purpose statement of how the money is used. If you all don't see a problem, and I'm the only one seeing it, but I just wanted to throw it out there for consideration.
And that's a good point, and the intent is for it to be really gray, because I thought it was gonna be one thing, and then you get people calling like, hey, can I just give 10,000 for free dial-a-ride people who are going to medical appointments, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't really capture that, so.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, you know, these are the common
Yeah.
examples, and then at the discretion of the director, consistent with the
Okay.
policy.
No, that makes sense.
But whatever.
Okay, no, that's good.
The only piece that I would cover this with, if I may, is that we also, yes, everything that we do as a public organization is also based on what's equitable with the law.
Yeah.
And so we would run this by, if we had one that was particularly sticky, then we would run it by our legal counsel to offer options for the board. And so we wouldn't fly that alone. We just want to know, because we also, it can be discriminatory if we are making the decision as to what we
Drive
think
safer.
would be, yeah,
Thanks.
you as well. If, what we might see would be offensive, maybe, others might not, and vice versa. So we ask legal counsel to help give us guidance on that. So it's just,
For me, I agree with Tim, that the Nosler event to me does seem kind of silly, but I think it's also maybe the intent. Like if Nosler was hired and then they wanted to say like, hey, apply here on the side of the bus, I think that would be a great use. Maybe we do want to say, you know, are they promoting the use of those items? Or are they promoting companies that produce or sell those items? To me is the distinction characteristic.
Well, yeah, again, Nosler, a premier company, long history in Bend, they do nothing illegal, and yet we eliminate them from public advertising on public vehicles. And what they do is legal, and it just seems kind of weird because a few folks get offended by seeing the name Nosler, let alone whatever picture might be in the background, that we as a public entity ban them from advertising on public vehicles.
And we would have the same, I agree with you, we would have the exact same argument if the Catholic Church decided to put an advertisement on buses. I mean, people are gonna find a way to be offended, and I don't know that we can come up with a policy to prevent that.
Deschutes Brewery comes to mind. They've done a lot in the community as well, and that's legal.
Lots of tons of examples of well-established legal businesses in the three counties, and doing legal things and these are public moving billboards.
Yeah.
And we're afraid we're gonna get sued, so we eliminate, or we're afraid of the bad press, so we eliminate them, and that seems wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, personal opinions aside from me, one of the reasons we picked the promote one, so that you can have an honest discussion about the Nosler ad, which is just the white background with black letters, no pictures or anything, does that promote or not? And so those, you know, if that was the case here, you would have that ability to have that discussion. I wouldn't say no to that one without, you know, bringing it forward for discussion. The religious ones are excluded automatically because they're so divisive, and we just don't want to deal with that in our community. I'm not saying right or wrong, it's just I don't have enough staff, you know, this is me and my outreach running it. We don't have enough time to get into what can't be, so it is nice to have a few, and you can read it in there. We have a language around, you know, a full price one that will set the rates every year, and then 50% for nonprofits. The goal is to live in the nonprofit world for this, even though it's not as much money, but it's a public service. It's the library, it's drug and alcohol prevention, right? As much as possible. We get a lot of inquiries because there's a lot of things for that. And so certainly at some point in the future, if we were like, hey, to supplement our budget, we need X amount, we have to adjust, we'll do that, but that's not where we're at the first year.
should we explore the language change that, Councilor Ryan?
Yeah, I got a couple more
Okay,
slides
perfect.
on for the sponsorship one.
Yep.
Next slide.
Sorry, I guess I'm thinking about the comment that it's not me, it's you as the board that are assuming responsibility here. And so I appreciate the brewery, Deschutes Brewery, the Nosler, and some of the other examples. I think it's really thought provoking, and I am and thanks for all your work in putting this together. It's amazing. Put a group of people together and start talking about this stuff, the great ideas that come out of it. So I don't really have anything else to add to it other than simply, that's a lot of work you did to put this together. Thank you. And I agree with everything I heard, but I'm not ready to say I support what's up there.
I think the other thing that's gonna come here is once we haven't been promoting the advertisement on buses because we just don't, it's been loose on how, a couple radio stations called, the library called, we're like, okay, yeah, sure. We haven't said no to anybody, so we're not violating anything, but I think my example is once we start posting it, we're gonna have these examples, and I'm fine to go down on a litmus test on, at breweries, right? If it's not a beer in the advertisement and just the names, right, and give you some examples. But at the same time, we have a lot of nonprofits who want to put stuff on the bus as soon as possible, and I want to move on that because we have a lot of new gray buses coming on that look, you know, we have another 10 coming in the next 3 months. And we want to be able to put stuff on them sooner than later. But I'm happy to provide a list of these potentials, you know, that we can, you know, I mean, and maybe we can do an email instead of at a board meeting and just get people's thoughts around the list.
Or it could be vetted through the executive committee and then brought before the board, but like you said, you have plenty of time. And this isn't a hot topic internally, so we're not, this is so that when we do get the request, so we're not, it's not something that we're getting a lot of interest in. Yeah.
The interest we're getting is in the sponsorship part of it, which we want to take money tomorrow
Yeah.
from a few of them,
Yeah.
So. Mike, sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say that basically it's, you know, kind of what the lawyers think are the best clauses to have in this policy at this point in time. Because we could go down every one of these paths. Did you hear where wood comes from? Trees, and some people love trees, so we can't, and paper too, did you know this? So, we could go all over with that. And then this bullet point here for nonprofits at 50% discount, you know, maybe. I could go as far as thinking that through a little bit more. I mean, it's nice to think that we're gonna give a nonprofit 50% discount, but you say it's more of a advocacy dollars for don't drink and don't smoke. Which is government dollars, which is coming somewhere. So maybe we don't even do this 50% thing. If we're here to advertise and we want to make $1 so we can subsidize the cost. Why do we do that? And obviously every nonprofit would walk in the door and say, this is the most important mission in the world and I need to have a discount on it. But maybe we don't.
You're gonna make a good point.
Yeah, I'm open on that. A lot of people have the discounts. We allow free handouts inside the bus for social service nonprofits already, right? That we not advertising anything. They provide the copies, we slide them into the holders and things like that. But I'm, you know.
Where do you draw the line though on, if we don't allow religious messaging, but where do you draw the line on religious-based nonprofits?
Oh, yeah, see.
I mean, I'm just thinking like Shepherd's House Ministries.
Yeah, as long as they're not promoting, yeah.
So.
Bob, what's the forecasted revenue to come from this?
I mean, what my anticipation the first year is what we're trying to do from a marketing standpoint, you probably see it, right? Our social media posts, like we're 10 times the amount we were last year. We have, you know, we've been using radio ad sponsorships. We've changed the logo. We've done tons of marketing. Our intent with most of this money the first year is to pay for the other graphics on the new bus instead of taking money from our general thing to pay for new logos, or, you know, our hope is like we have a Smith Rock bus where it has Smith Rock murals on both sides. We sell advertisement on the back. We have Three Sisters buses and things like that. So you take, you know, say you take 15 out of our 50 active buses, but you're left with 35 buses that technically have 2,500 a month potential on them. The money adds up really quick if you have interested parties. So, you know, is 200,000 a year is not off the table once we get going.
To go to Tony's point, what is the rationale for the 50% discount on the nonprofits?
I mean, we're a public service entity. We're not doing it for money. We're using the money to supplement our services, just like we give half price. No, it's been silent on what we provided. There was some language and then they're saying we give preference to nonprofits and things like that, but no language. And, you know, for us, it's kind of like we give nonprofits 50% group discounts on fares, everything else. It just kept it consistent. But again, that's up to the discretion of the board.
Yeah, I think these are good questions. I remember the fair conversation and the goal of that was to try and increase ridership. And so there was incentive, and if we were ever at capacity, then we could revisit how we were allocating the full capacity on this. If what you know today, based on the interest, the style you're referring to, would there be a different interest level if it was a full amount as opposed to a discounted amount for a number?
No, the difference would be to Commissioner DeMone's point is there's grants that are paying for this. The difference is they can put ads on 5 buses or 2.5 buses with, that's generally, it's not going to deter someone from.
But if a retail advertiser showed up, would there be any priority for that?
No, we would just be doing it first come, first served, while we have all the space
Yeah.
at some point. That's where the discussion would come up, if all the buses are full of ads, and then we're like,
Yeah,
oh, we
there's a
can make
moment.
more money
Yeah.
if we end your I mean, most people are only doing 3 or 6 month contracts, but.
So will you guys be putting on the sticky decals? You have a
No.
private business?
All, the advertising entity will be given 3 or 4, acceptable, businesses that we allow to put on because we don't want to be in that business. We used to be in it, and then they mess up the decal, and then we'd have to pay. So now we just give them a list. They can get another one. This is, behind the scene procedures. They can say, hey, we have Johnny over here. We'll check it out. It has to be this type of acrylic, all this type of stuff, but it's on them for deciding on the advertising. Before we were even designing it and developing it, it just, that's not worth our time.
So I guess the thing I've been going over, is it the 50% that we're having trouble with, or is it the discount at all? Is it if you made it 75%?
What if you did 25? What if you cut that and did a 25 for nonprofit?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is it the number that is it the?
Well, it just jumped out at me, like, well, what's the reason?
Or the number? Is the principal or the number? That's what I'm getting at.
The point brought up that it is kind of first come, first served, so it turns into land grab in terms of real estate or billboards on moving buses. And so maybe the 50% is fair, but we want to put a limit on how many.
Can I interject for a minute?
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering the topic. We seem to be jumping all over the map, and I was just wanting to know if we needed to focus back on Bob's presentation with respect to approving or updating or amending the advertising and sponsorship policy before us, and then maybe table the conversation around discounting and pricing and all of that to another time. Or maybe I'm completely off base, but I was just wondering if this presentation is more focused on policy.
And I'll say, I'm very comfortable with proceeding with what's presented. These are all good discussions, and we could be here all night.
I'm also okay, like just making it 10%, we come back and see, or something, our mission can be defended either way. Our mission is to serve, underserved communities, things like that, certainly giving discounts, but we also serve underserved communities better if we raise more money. So, it doesn't change what we're doing. It's really more of an administration thing and advertising for us. Again, it's not gonna reduce the number of advertisers. It may reduce the number of advertisements.
Maybe we should work on adjusting the 1 and 2 in the sponsorship policy. And then, like you say, move forward. And if you want, why not just go to 25%? And then just see that. That would be because it is kind of our mission to help. But I think we need to adjust this first, and then like Chris was saying, and then just go ahead and worry about the policy.
Yeah, thank you. I support that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get the last word here, but on this topic, maybe instead of a discount, there's like a volume discount. So you buy 4 buses and you get the 5th free, instead of tying it to an IRS designation of for-profit and non-profit. I think 2026 is going to be a catalyst year in the state of Oregon, prioritizing private sector job growth. With the amount of economic development resources that are being allocated at all levels of government right now. And so it's not to discount the importance of nonprofits, which my family has been part of for 3 decades. I don't think the value proposition is going to resonate with giving preferential treatment for the tax status after seeing the dollar volumes associated with nonprofit compensations at state level CCOs and other organizations that are probably going to get a lot of attention this year.
How about I propose this? How about we just, the fares are set by me, but one side, it's gonna be like 500 for the side, 1,000. It'll be the same for everybody, and we'll just reevaluate it after a year when we get feedback from people and we see how much advertisement we have and things like that. that'll make it simple for me instead of having to worry about two rates verifying tax status.
You also have the free opportunity in the vehicle, which
If they
are the
provide
above your.
Which is the
Yeah.
flyers.
So that's the flyer type
Yeah.
of advertisement, which also is effective if you're a nonprofit.
Yeah, I think that's due diligence from a public service perspective to offer that, and then we can be the same on this one. And I'll, we'll send a report, and I think what I'll do also, just because this is an interesting topic, is in my monthly reports or on the, that go out, I'll just put a summary of our, advertising signups for the month as well.
Yeah. So you're saying dropping the 50% policy?
Yeah, I'll just,
Makes
in
your life
there right now,
easier.
it says,
See what happens.
yeah, and then we'll come back in a year and revisit if that's of interest or not.
Yeah, and then we have
So-
something we can review the data. I think that would be really helpful and then address it and make changes, from that information. I think that's really great, Bob, on providing those reports.
Well, I can see one of your potential clients is OSU Cascades. Where would they fit in the funding model?
They'd be a nonprofit,
Really?
yeah.
I would call them the same as,
But you
your
will
local
always be
small.
free.
See? Well, they're charity.
But see, we're just striking that, Tim, so we don't have to
Oh,
worry
yeah,
about
so
it.
sorry I brought it up.
So again, how do you want to take in Mike's, I think Mike had a valid comment on sponsorship policy.
Yeah, so
You wanna just void number one,
can you go to the next one? I think I have it on the
and
screen.
then we can go ahead and move towards this?
Yeah, so, is this the same?
No,
No,
because
it's not.
yours is
Yeah.
numbered, actually, you have number 1, 2, and down, and he was concerned that he thought number 1 kind of was also in number 2, so it just seemed to me maybe we.
What I would like to do is on number 1, just say the sponsorship program subsidizes transit, passes, right? It doesn't need to say
And then
or
just
anything.
cross everything else out.
Yeah, and then number 2 would still hold as various
Sure.
examples, if that's okay, because
Okay.
we don't know, I mean, this is changing every day as we talk to potential people. I want to keep it so that when, Tony gives me a $50 bill, I'll just say it was for transit passes.
Yeah,
No, and then if, a larger entity wants to buy a free day or a free week, or wants to donate so much to Shepherd's House, then that falls under it too.
Kimberly, is there anyone with their hand raised since we can't see them? Okay,
well then, with those 2 adjustments, I would move approval of the CET advertising and sponsorship policy with the amendment to the sponsorship policy on, as far as number 1, and with the dropping of the advertising, well, no, actually, we keep advertising rates should be established annually by the transportation director, period. And then delete the, and shall consist of a rate for nonprofit. That would be my motion, those 2 adjustments.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. First and a second, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
All right.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Okay, perfect, thank you very much. Last one, or next slide, I think it's gonna be a couple minutes. So I just wanted to give you an update on fairs because it's delicate. I'm sure some of you are hearing more than others. We've, the board approved the policy, said January 1st, or as soon as we were readily available to implement. We targeted a February 1st date, mid-December, because or early December, because that gave us enough buffer time, we thought, to get everything together. Move All North America is our vendor or contractor that's providing the software for the fair system. So it comes with an app, a web portal, administrative behind, so that we can adjust accounts, all those things that you would imagine. The original contracted operational delivery date was December 10th. We signed a contract back in September. And so everything was supposed to be fully operational December 10th to give us plenty of time to test, do signups and everything for February 1st. More time than we needed, but we wanted to be with the holidays, just give us extra time. As of today, we still don't have the app fully to the public because of some issues in the testing, and the transit cards will not be here till Monday. So I'm just giving you a heads up. We're still targeting February 1st. If everything is online by Monday or Tuesday, that's still enough time to get signups. It's still enough time to do everything, but we may have to push it. One of the challenges with pushing it is with monthly passes that we're pre-selling and things like that, starting like February 10th may not be optimum unless we can figure out then another workaround in the system to credit people's odd accounts and things like that. More information than you need to know, but in the next 10 days, we'll either continue with the February 1st that we're publishing or delay that as appropriate. And I have another slide at the end, but when I say delay it as appropriate, we're still under this. We have a lot of procedures in place. Someone comes up to the bus in a remote area. They didn't have their phone. They didn't know about the system. We're letting them on the bus with an instruction sheet, right? You know, we're going to continue to do that. We have different ways that we have volunteers and others to help people sign up and things like that. So it's not going to be like, hey, you didn't have it on the first. We're still going to let people ride the bus, but we got to establish some date on that. So, but I'll cover some of those things next week. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. Nothing for you to decide on. We are close. It's a couple legal issues with them on their payment side that we just haven't approved. Like I have the app on my phone. Everything works on it. We have access to the web portal. I'm signed up. A lot of people could sign up if they wanted. It looks odd to sign up and then say, hey, click here to download the app, but we're not letting them download the app yet. So, I feel like we're close. At the same time, since December 10th, they're getting charged $500 a day for not delivering on time. They got a 6,000 penalty off the front, and they get charged another 500, an additional up to 1,000 starting next week. It's not costing us anything for the first 2 months. So, you know, that's a positive too, I guess, in some sense. So they are, you know, we have those things in place in the contract to ensure that we're going to get delivery. So, you know, I feel generally confident, but, you know, no surprises. So I just want to give you a heads up on that.
And thank you for your due diligence on this as well. And thank you for taking calls at 4:30 in the morning because of the East Coast.
Yeah,
request for early.
I will do anything to get this transit pass, but they're East Coast people and they want to meet at 7 in the morning sometimes before their 8 o'clock staff meetings. And I get a little frosty on those days.
Yes, frosty.
Yeah.
So, Bob, can I ask a question? Do you have confidence in them as a company, and this is just a delivery error to kind of meet the initial deadline, or do you have concerns about their ability to?
Yeah, so honestly, their product is the best. I don't like them. I like all their worker meetings. I have little patience with a couple people, but we're so far along now. I investigated the second proposals and the third after we signed a contract with them because they did score higher. Their presentations were better. Their, you know, everything. But once we got into this mode, you know, we looked at option 2 and, you know, just with restarting and reprogramming, it was another 3 or 4 months. The contract is written that we can void it after a year. We'll see how they do. We're not tied to it. If we void it after the year, it wouldn't hurt my feelings because we're going to be done with some other contracts. And right now we have 3 different apps, 4 different softwares for Howard Bus, just because over the last 8 years, it was just a piecemeal. We need this, we need this. So voiding it a year and doing them all together wouldn't hurt my feelings. So that's kind of the mindset, and they know it right now. And so if I call them right now and, you know, it's 11 there, he'll pick up because he's scared of us and he doesn't want to lose our business. So I like that leverage, but I generally feel confident in the tech and stuff like that. It's just, you know, how it goes, communication. If they at first they weren't submitting schedules, you knew they were going to be behind. That was challenging. So on the fare reimplementation, the next piece I wanted to share, next slide please, is we're getting a lot of complaints about the fares now. Everybody can imagine it's been free for 5 years. Why are you doing it now, right? It's easy for us. We went through this before. What I wanted to express to you, and that, you know, there's going to be a couple entities that have not submitted stuff to me or have not gotten back and things like that, that are going to have users on not February 1st, but let's say the 10th, when they still don't have it worked out, that may not be able to ride the bus. But I want to show you some of the things that we've been doing. We've reached out to every homeless service provider, any social service provider list we could get, send it to people to forward these options on. A lot of people get reimbursed transit, right, which seems fine in the world. Hey, I rode $20 this month. I submit my bill and I get $20. The reality is they haven't done it here for 5 years, and that scares people. And so we're trying to have options where we're taking the burden on this first year and we'll front the money and work through these plans. And so, you know, you don't have to know the details about these, but these are what from, you know, Full Access High Desert, Deschutes County Behavioral Health, right? And, you know, and then add the big ones, COCC, OSU, all the other providers that have these options. Next slide, please. And I just want to share the level of effort myself and staff is doing so people can understand that when you do get a complaint, give us a little grace, because we are going way over and beyond. This is an example of Full Access. I made up these names. These aren't their names. But so they have about 150 users a month that they pay for transit. Some of them a couple $100 a month worth. And instead of saying, hey, that's on you, the user will have to pay it and you reimburse them after the fact. They turn in a full sheet they'll turn it in next week. It'll have, you know, 100 people's names. It'll how many trips on each one they use. They'll write me a check for the total, and I'll have customer service reps, myself and others, go into every single person's account and credit them that account. Now, will they have the check to me before they use it? No. And it doesn't matter, but this is just an example of some of the level of effort we're going to try to minimize. The same with Bethlehem Inn, the same with there's about 3 different Deschutes Behavioral Health, Human Services, a bunch of different providers. We probably have about 20 of these types of accounts right now. So I just wanted to communicate that with you, because there are going to be, you know, a news article or something that such and such house, you know, now there are people weren't allowed on transit, but we are trying to get to that. Now, I'm not going to do this for 10 years. This is way too much work for my staff. But certainly the first year, we're going to do things like this so that we don't have to live in that space.
So if Deschutes County departments come in and they get a little pushy, let's work together.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes the attitude is a little bit wrong by staff. They're defending, they want to help the person they're helping, but nope, stop. The line has been drawn, you know, and it's not a big deal, but we can help move that forward.
Yeah, and I mean, the lesson here is this one's dollar for dollar because this is a federal reimbursement, right? I'm not giving a huge discount for all the time. Bethlehem Inn needs 100 tickets that should be X amount. Am I charging, or should be $150? I'm not charging them 150. I'm assuming they'll lose some. The actual usage will be half. You know, I'm not getting dollar for dollar. The Deschutes County employee plan is for how, if they want to pay for 100 employees to use it, I just multiply it by 33%, assuming that's probably the usage, and that's what they get billed, not the total monthly. You know, we're trying to, because we'll be able to track information, we'll be able to see if someone was abusing it, but we're not trying to get every dollar out there. We're trying to get people signed up, have a system, have some flexibility, and
have a premier transit experience.
Yeah. Or next slide then. And so, or just what I wanted to pass along, I said this earlier, you know, anybody can basically get free transfer to Hawthorne once we start charging fares, because there we have everything. We have cards, we have computers that can help sign up. They can't claim, but likewise, you can't get on the bus at Hawthorne without a pass, because you can go inside, or, you know, if there's a money issue, we'll take care of that. We have additional sign-up cards that drivers will give people who have phones so they can get on the bus and they can worry about payment getting off the bus or the next time. You know, we have free paper tickets to start handing out to people. If there's any issues, I can just go in and give blanket courtesy passes to everyone in the group for a week, right? Just to try to clear things up. And so we have a lot of tools there, but I just wanted to share some of that, because certainly the closer we get, the more disgruntled people and complaints we get about charging fares after 5 years. And we all know why it's important, but it is hard. You know, if we would have done it a year after, it would have been an easier dialogue than people forgot. Because you get a lot of, well, in 2019, you gave away these cards, and you're like, yeah, but then people could just go to the copy machine and copy them, and then it wasn't the most efficient system. So that's all. I just want to give an informational update.
you all are our ambassadors as well. So if you happen to be part of a board or a social service organization or have a connection to an organization that would benefit from this, please connect them with Bob and his team so that we can get ahead of any concerns. We know that there will be some folks that get missed or just didn't realize, does that apply to me? So as much as you have your own areas of influence, please use Bob and his team as a resource so that we can make sure that we support all that needed.
We continue to get examples every day that we didn't know about. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with Ben Lapine School District, has an 18 to 21-year-old adult education type of program where they teach kids how to ride the bus and other things, and they've just been doing it free on their own, and now we won't let them on the bus without some agreement, so we're working through those things. But it's those type of entities that are hard, we didn't know about. How do we capture them versus the bus driver telling him, no, you're no longer allowed on the bus come February 1st. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we've got the Weaver grant follow-up.
Yes, so you have two items in your packet. One is the information with the overview of the Weaver grant. The other is a supplemental document, and that is meant to answer some of the questions that came up at the last meeting. And so I will start with the punchline, which is with the additional information that we've been able to gather with our legal counsel and also getting information from the Aspen Institute. It is my recommendation that we move forward with this. And so the questions that you all were asking in reference to what will happen if we are not able to fulfill the obligation in year one, then this is one of the very few grants that we have that our legal counsel has stated. They do not have a clawback provision. Their mission is to do these pilots across the United States to try to build civil connection within community through weaving through these small grants that they're providing. So there isn't a clawback, but we would not be funded year two. That's what would happen. If we end up, the requirement is that we would be able to fulfill the obligation of up to, or no less than 20 grants, let's see here, 20 micro grants annually. We can fulfill that obligation by not providing $5,000 grants to each one of the awardees. So what we would likely do, of which we don't have a plan because we don't have permission quite yet, but we would not extend out to the community what we don't want to extend because we want to make sure that we can fulfill the obligation of the 2-year commitment. And in that, we would be marrying this with our own program that we already do with a lot of the community community resource building and the rural capacity building, primarily in our rural communities, of utilizing these dollars when we're in community, working around community building efforts, Madras and Jefferson County, going through a planning effort in terms of a visioning process or strategic planning. Is there something that maybe you want to draw the community together on and have them learn about wildfire prevention or have them learn about, whatever that might be? These dollars can be utilized. For that example, we are assisting with the staffing and the facilitation. We would then have that be married with the work that we're already doing. We would have that provide childcare, gas for folks, whatever it is that would assist them in being able to participate as community members, a meal, that sort of thing. Could also pay for some of the facilitation as well. There is a $25,000 administrative opportunity for us as well. If this were not something that is married with our community capacity building and rural community building, it wouldn't make sense for us. But for us to be able to marry it to the work that we already do, we see that as a great opportunity to have the small dollars that make a meaningful impact when we have communities that want to be able to bring their community together to talk about challenging things or opportunities. It could be a community center in Culver. It could be, back at the Tolius, what do we want to do at the train station? It could be any of those sorts of things. It does need to go to it can't go to city or county government, but it can go to an opportunity, a group within the community. Newberry Regional Partnership is another that would probably use this for each one of their community convening opportunities. So that is the overview. Our legal counsel was doing the same as you, a little head scratching. Did look into the Aspen Institute. Each of our funders that are interested in this as possibly third and fourth year, Ford Family Foundation as well as the Roundhouse Foundation have worked with the Aspen Institute previously and are aware of them, which was another question that came up from the board of what do we know about them? And then there also was a question around, do we need to brand, market, message, or say anything or do anything? It really is building civility and communication and allowing an opportunity for communities to engage is the goal for the Weaver project pilots. And so they do not have a history of being politically motivated, driven, and sort of have a, this is what we ask you to subscribe to. So I hope we were able to provide you with the answers to the questions that you had, which were really helpful for us to also explore some of this. And as mentioned, this is a unique opportunity because of how it came forward, how excited they were with our grant sort of overview. And it's up to you as to whether you think this is a good opportunity for us as a new partner as well. Happy to, yeah.
Who's making grant decisions?
So we would be
Who's we?
internally, the team, they would be, use this as the criteria. So Michelle and I would work with the team. So it would be Megan.
So staff decisions.
Yeah.
Kind of going through.
Yes, and we have a history of working with the unhoused grants that we've had, COVID grants. We'd create a, template, if you will, with the criteria.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's
I
something.
was just, so not the board making decisions.
No. Would love to have you in the weeds of $2,500 grants every year, but really this for the board, I signed the agreement. We like to be in the space of making sure that the board, this is a new partnership. It's not something we've done previously. It's a unique one. And so that makes sense for us to have an opportunity to explore it together. And as mentioned, the conversation and the questions that you all had really helped us too of, you're right, this is, let's really explore this.
So my other thought is,
Yeah.
we're probably gonna have about 2,500 nonprofits that are all gonna be like, yeah, I could use a little bump. So it's gonna be a little tricky. That's kind of the process I'm going through. And we're dealing with that right now because we've had a discretionary grant program through video lottery funds, which you know about. But all of a sudden it's, there's a little big list and the money's getting smaller.
Yeah.
And it's really getting a little bit awkward. So it's big asks and we're like, well, how about $100? And it's not good.
So that was
Yeah.
that leads into, and I wasn't here, last meeting. I guess I'm allowed to do this one again.
Yes, and that's your one.
But, so I wasn't privy to a lot of the discussion that took place. But my concern with reading through this is, our smaller communities in Crook and Jefferson County, we might have one venue every year or two that comes up that could be used. How can we have this, or how can we make sure that Ben doesn't eat up? It's not much money
Yeah.
for 2 years. And so how can we make sure that, hey, in 9 months, if we do have another big fire, we need a community event, that there's something left, some scraps left for the little.
Yes,
little-
they're not here right now.
Definitely with Seth on that.
Yeah, the answers, most of the work that we do is outside of the urban area. Most of the work that we're talking about and our proposal to them was the benefit of a $2,500 amount to contribute, or 5,000 is like giving a 50,000 to a band. And so the whole premise is based on that rural capacity building and that rural community building. And that's what we offered. That's what they were interested in. And that's also consistent with the Ford Family Foundation already supports our entire rural community building work. They see this as a great opportunity because they can't really do that one-time flexible dollar, but this could. So they see that marriage. And then the other is that the Roundhouse has a specific interest in rural community resilience. And so that's really, not to say that Bend wouldn't benefit from these dollars. It's going to be the opposite direction where we are going to be working with our existing partners, which are Downtown Business Association, Rich Madras. It's gonna be the Latino Community Association doing some, I mean, it's gonna be working with, do you wanna set up a visioning committee and you're doing, I mean, it's really what we're already connected to. And that's where a little bit of I think a case could be made, well, why doesn't it go to every nonprofit? The grant that we wrote is related to the rural community building piece. And not everyone, so that's where Michelle and I are gonna need to make sure that what we're doing passes muster, not mustard, yeah, whatever it is.
The red face
The red
test.
face test with our legal counsel, so that we're not, I mean, we don't wanna fall, die on the hill of $2,500.
Yeah.
But in answer to your question, it's primarily for your communities. Yeah, and I would have said the same if Mike were here, and he'll probably listen.
And that actually was a significant point of conversation in the previous.
Yeah.
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 How do we make sure that it stays in the rural areas?
Yeah.
Where it's gonna have the most.
Or at least, right,
Yep. Yeah, I think your battle's gonna be how much goes to Lapine, so, I mean, I'm just throwing it out.
I already have a submission as soon as you get the templates.
So we're asking, if we've supplied you with the right information and you feel comfortable moving forward. I feel really confident that this makes sense. Of course, we still do not have a draft contract. And we don't, of course, do that alone. We make sure that everything that they've told us in writing so far matches up with that contract. If it doesn't, then we don't go forward. It's that simple, but that's no different than any other relationship.
Thanks for doing the follow-up on it. I was one of the vocal ones last meeting, so I
Yeah.
appreciate the research that was done. I went on the website and perused around. It's an interesting concept on the Weaver website. There's a truth index that they're trying to quantify the trust in communities across the country. And so I'm sure there's 50% that think that's a great idea and 50% that are scared by it. But I don't know how this type of grant program plays into the quantification of the truth index that's advertised on the website. What I really liked about it is there are these stories that were highlighted across the country that the Weaver grant recipients had shared back, anywhere from a local community garden to, I think there was a really fun story about a rural community school getting athletic shoes for one of their sports programs through the grant. And so I thought about that with the communities that we have. And while Ben might be considered a city, I think there's still opportunities within Deschutes County for Weaver grant applications. And I know there's a lot of economic development and other programs going on in Jefferson and Crook as well. And so I'm a full supporter of this. I think there's a lot of logistical concerns that are discussed here. But COIC is an organization that's set up that's capable to handle it. And I'm sure that there's going to be some challenges that are discovered in the process, but I absolutely support this and see how it goes and what we can do with the money. And we will have no problem finding 20 ways to use it over the course of a year.
Yep.
So any additional comments? If not, there is a suggested language that came along with the summary.
What page?
Very last.
Yes.
Right,
No,
the rest of the motion.
Oh, there we go. I move to authorize COIC to proceed with the acceptance and administration of the Weaver Awards Community Host Opportunity consistent with the terms outlined in the memorandum of understanding.
And I will second that.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Okay, coming to a community near you.
All right, so the last thing that separates us between inside and outside is going to be a roundtable. So anybody have anything for the greater good?
I'll kick us off. Sean Keithley, our new Community and Economic Development Director, is actually in Bend now. For those of you that want to court him, they have not purchased a home. So I know Culver's got a lot on the market coming in. So they're currently renting, so there's that opportunity. He is really excited to be part of COIC. And as you might recall, he moved, he and his wife and his father from Boise. And right now, to take the leap of moving your family to another community for a job opportunity, that says a lot. So anyway, he starts Monday and we will have him, if he's available at the next board meeting as well, so we can meet. There you have it.
We're still trying to keep Culver a hidden gem, by the way.
Yeah.
We'll take ones and twos.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else? Well, then I will just say, thank you for entrusting me with the vice chair role for one more year, and with that.
Ended early, look.
There you go.
Nicely done.
You did it. You did it. You got that early.